Oh my God. Yeah. I mean,
That would scare me today.
listen, dude, there is nothing in this trilogy as gross as when Spaulding gets out of bed and goes to the
Oh,
toilet and it
oh.
transitions into the coffee pouring into the mug.
Howdy, folks. You like blood, violence, freaks of nature? Well, come on down to the Scary Movie Project because we got a brand new episode for you here, folks. I am your host, Matt. We are the podcast where we talk about scary movies and drum up the legend of Dr. Satan. Now, for all those out there that love a good that love a good trilogy, because who doesn't, right? We'll start though with two young couples traveling across the backwoods of Texas, searching for urban legends of murder, end up as prisoners of a bizarre and sadistic backwater family of serial killers. First up, we're talking about 2003, 2002, House of a Thousand Corpses. This is Rob Zombie's first film, and we're talking about the Firefly Trilogy. So, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell. Now, who's with me today? Well, I got a great gentleman with me. All my guests are great, but you guys are going to love Chris Higgins on the show because he is the bearded film guy. You'll find him on Instagram. He is also the host of Beyond the Blood podcast. Now, the reason I had to have this guy on was because he did a great multiple Texas Chainsaw episodes, multiple episodes on House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Reject. But this man did like a 2.5 hour episode on Pet Cemetery 2. And I said, that movie is like the movie that I like had this conundrum with where I don't love it, but I have to watch it. And I'm like, dude, you did who does 2.5 hours on Pet Cemetery 2? This guy did. So Chris, thank you for coming on this program, man. This is great.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for listening. I think you're one of the 200 people that listened to that Pet Cemetery 2 episode that I loved it. I knew somebody was out there who that episode was for, so I'm happy it reached its target audience.
I am the one who it was for, yes. And I remember just listening to it like this is amazing. And then the fact that it was as long as it was so wonderful. So
yeah. Well, at the very end we had to sneak in the fact of the what is that called when like at the very end of the movie, the names and the faces of everybody
the photos,
that
we're all sad that we die. Yes.
So weird, man. So weird.
It was so bizarre. And I mean, we take this seriously. This guy has come back and he's got like a thing around his neck and he's just like skinning rabbits and his white, like nothing seems to be odd to anybody. And that movie is just, oh my God, it's so ridiculous. But like, you made a great point of like, we're like of the age of when you saw this. So it kind of like the teen angst thing and it kind of spoke and just like, yeah, I don't know. It is one of those films where, I mean, it is not going to win any awards, but it is just, I don't know. I have to watch it when it's on though. Eddie Furlong, right? I mean, he was it then. He was it.
Yeah, I mean, Clancy Brown.
It had a good cast, right?
Show, you know what I mean? So he steals the whole entire show.
He does. Oh man. But that's for another time. So please listen to his episode though, about that. But all right, so the Firefly Clan trilogy. So for me, I've been Rob Zombie's like my idol, right? I've been listening to him. I was one of those kids that found White Zombie because of Beavis and Butthead. I'm one of those kids when they were on because that made them famous. I remember watching that when I was like 12 years old. Love his music, love his movie, and when he was making this film, I was like, this is like a dream come true. I'm so excited about this, and I think let's talk about maybe. Do you want to talk about the production and the issues with the money and the financing first, or we should just talk about the movie? You want to just jump into the movie first, though? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies where the pre and post production is almost more interesting than the movie itself. Like that could be made a movie all of its own.
Yeah. True.
But I think what's most interesting is mostly the post production, considering how much hell the movie went through. It went through, ended up on its third studio.
That's crazy.
Before it was finally, I think it released 3 years after it was finished.
They started shooting this in like 2000, I think, right? Maybe, right? Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. It's,
Rob Zombie had to buy the movie back from them. He had to like convince them that his movie sucked, so they would drop the price so he could buy it back from them.
This is the same guy, right? Who didn't have enough money to shoot the ending he wanted.
Yeah.
So he shot the bad ending, screened it. The studio went, man, this ending is so bad. And he went, yeah, I know. We need more money to make it better. And they were like, here you go.
Yep. I mean, it worked. So House of a Thousand Corpses, basically, to me, it's like a love letter to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hills Have Eyes, Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's a huge influence in that film, right? And it's these kids that are driving around the country and they're finding oddities. And I can just quote lines, but I mean that opening scene where they go in is terrific. Where he's Captain Spaulding's with the guy, and he thinks these things, he twists around, and is like, "What the hell is wrong with this?" And these kids come in, and he says, "We look for all this weird stuff." He says, "Son, look around. Would I be surprised by any weird stuff here?" Captain Spaulding is just so good. But they go on the murder ride, which, by the way, how badly do you want to go on that murder ride?
Oh, dude, I've always wanted to so badly. It's incredible. The fact that it's hand pushed makes it even better.
Yes, and there are people touching it. Yeah. So they, Dr. Satan, Dr. Satan, with what's his face from Walking Dead show. I remember him, Chris, whatever, Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, Chris Hardwick, yeah.
And they get lost, or you think they get lost, because they accidentally get their tire shot out or whatever, and Baby picks them up and they end up at the Firefly house on Halloween Eve, and chaos ensues and murder. We meet Otis, and they're all, of course, captured and tortured and killed, and the buried alive scenes, and the ending is just so bizarre. But for me, there's just so many like great lines like that opening of when they come in to rob him, and he goes, "Shut your mouth, put your hands up," and he goes like down his hand. He goes, "I'm gonna count to 3." And he goes, 1, fuck your mama. 2, fuck your sister. Like that opening scene is just so great. And he gives him, when they leave, he says, "Here's your directions to your map to go find your bucket of complimentary chicken. Now get the hell out of here."
Which I wonder how cold that chicken was. He didn't pull that out of a warmer.
No, I'm sure he did not. So. And it's just so, and the house is so crazy with the mother, and just, oh my God. And Otis is, "Do you interrupt me? You know what work is? I'm working hard here, And he's got
That's a great impression, by the way.
and he's got the cheerleaders tied up, and I love the trick or treating scene at night when it's so like from some TV show with the dad, and they go looking for him. And that shot that I think you guys talked about, and everyone, the crane shot, the big money shot where it rises before they shoot him finally, and it goes on forever and ever, and it's silent, and
it's
bang, he pulls the trigger.
It's such an odd shot because while the movie is artistic in the sense of like production design and visual style, that almost felt like, I hate to reference him and say it, but it almost felt like a Tarantino moment. It just comes out of it's unlike any other moment in the movie. Wow. And it's the first time where things are quiet.
Yes.
And it's so quiet. And what's even crazier is when they screened the movie initially, they wanted to remove it because the crowd cheered when the gun went off.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They thought, man, people were cheering for the violence against the police. And he had to fight to eventually, keep it in. The many studios who had it later. But it's such an incredible shot. I mean, that whole scene feels almost in a good way out of a different movie. It almost feels like somebody else stepped in real quick and made it.
It's very artistic compared to like the chaos that's happening in the rest of the film with the negative shots and just like it's just like, what do people say? It's like an acid trip movie they always talk about, right? It's just crazy, There's just so much weird stuff going on, and I mean, I love it. And I love when they do the show and Grandpa comes out and he's doing the stand up.
It's so, dude, it's like unabashedly just Rob Zombie all the way through. And actually,
so Rob Zombie.
I think it's funny because Rob Zombie coming from for White Zombie and his own music videos, he shot all of his own music videos.
He and Sherry were in them all.
Yeah, it's incredible what he was able to do. But when you put like House of a Thousand Corpses all together, it works so well. But then when you realize that like there was stuff that he shot in his basement.
Yes,
with Sherry,
those opening scenes are all like VHS stuff. I think he said he shot like in his basement. Yes,
yeah, that, and then also like some of the stuff with some of the shots of like her with the bodies in the room when it cuts to like that crazy footage, and he blends all of that so well. You don't question any of it. You just accept it, and you're just there for the ride. And I've heard people kind of say like, "Oh, the movie's not great. It's kind of like a big music video." I'm like, yeah, it sort of is, but what I think
sort of.
Yeah, what I think is best though is over the years I've fallen in love with the ending, the entire scene, like when they go down underground
under the tunnels,
because you can, if you know that was reshot with more money, you can see it because all of a sudden like the production design is incredibly different from everything else.
Yeah,
and it just feels
wide lenses and all everything. And
it feels so different and so mature as a filmmaker into that ending. It just completely now it kind of takes me off guard, but it's become my favorite little piece of the movie.
Okay.
Because it looks so good. They got that like hallway with the skeletons.
It is pretty cool. It's
it's
the
so
blue,
cool,
green, and the colors are all kind of wild. Yeah. And I love I love the end when she gets in the car, right? And he pops up out of the back seat like that, right?
Oh my god, dude, yeah, that was great. I mean, you were hoping that Captain Spaulding was like maybe a good guy. You knew he wasn't, but yeah, when Otis pops out of the back seat, yeah.
But I feel like, and I love you know, the scene where they're going to the liquor store and the guy who works at the liquor store. It ain't gonna. How much is? Well, the damage is significant. $500. That ain't gonna break my bank, honey. And the lines are just like Otis is just so. I mean, boy, I don't think you understood what you're looking for right now. And he's supposed to say, I bet you stick your head in a fire if you thought you could see hell. And he says, holy moly, we got me a live one.
Like, so I think you're a fan of the most of like Rob Zombie's dialogue.
Yeah,
okay.
I would say so. Yeah,
there's times when it gets a little too like
it's a little silly. It's too much sometimes. But
I think of like the opening of Halloween and the kitchen, the family, and it just gets like way too
the white trash, just like total. Yeah,
it just like goes way overboard. You're like, okay, all right, let's rein it back in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is a lot, but. Yeah, I just that's a wild movie. It really is. Oh, and you gotta love Fish Boy, right? I mean, come on, Fish Boy.
Oh my god, dude, that's the best. Dude, I wish there was more with Fish Boy instead of just that one. Moment.
We need more Fish Boy. We need more Fish Boy, right?
And it's such a cool looking effect too. Like it perfectly like goes with the bottom half of it. It's kind of beautiful. Like when you look at it, you're like, man, that's pretty cool. That's pretty.
The scene when they try to leave and it's raining and the guy comes off the scarecrow, like that was scary. And they start bashing the car and like that was a scary scene, right? I thought.
Yeah.
There are scenes that are truly like actually frightening in this film. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there absolutely are. And I think the movie really kind of lives in this place where it's trying to make you uncomfortable. Especially like the family dynamic and Mother Firefly and like everything is just uncomfortable. And even like the dinner scene.
Oh, so uncomfortable.
With like it's all so like grimy and you want to take a shower, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of movies that try to be like that. You don't want to revisit. House of a Thousand Corpses, I think, is like the gift that keeps on giving every single time you watch it. You just enjoy it when you pick up on more and more and more.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely succeeded in what he was going for.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And I kind of knew, like, I went in obviously wanting to love it because it's Rob Zombie. And to be honest, when it started, and I mean, I love the House of a Thousand Corpses song he did. I thought it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And when that song drops and those scenes of like the barn and all the stuff, like we were saying, he shot in his house, I was like, we're off to a good start the first time I saw it. I like this. I know where we're going with this. So it took me a few watches to really kind of really like it. And now, I mean, yeah, the troubled production, I mean, the nonsense. And now we look at this and it has become, do we want to say cult classic? Is that the right word? But it is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very popular now. I mean, it really is. People have really changed their mind on it and they love it now.
Yeah, it's huge. It's funny because Rob Zombie kind of has become like, I don't think his name is as powerful as it once was in film, on this run when he did House of the Corpses, Devil's Rejects, into Halloween.
Sure.
Now it's sort of like he's, not really directing much anymore. He kind of went through that. I think after Halloween 2 kind of drove him over a little bit of a cliff.
It wore him out.
Yeah.
Beat him up. Yeah.
I know he was talking about wanting to make a Broad Street Bullies movie. Which
he's had a lot of ideas that just haven't happened. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But this movie, like, I think this movie ages better than The Devil's Rejects does. Like, there's just something.
It's just straight horror. Like, it's just straight horror to me. I mean, it is.
Yeah. It's not. It's like, how do I put it? When we were picking our lineup for season 1, we decided to cover House of a Thousand Corpses. It was because Rob Zombie is so transparent about what happens on sets and what happens during his experiences.
Yeah.
And during his commentary track, it's very matter of fact because things are much simpler than you always think. He's like, oh yeah, we thought this was a cool idea. But it's so him. Even when he gets notes from studio, he's like, he chooses whether or not he's going to do it. He's like, I'm just going to do it and whatever. And then I see people on the internet trying to dissect details about his movies. And he's like, yeah, no, that's not what I was thinking at all. He's like, I just thought it would be cool to see Sherry's butt. You know what I mean? Like, you guys
do it. It's all good. Exactly.
And I appreciate that,
Oh yeah. No, he's the best. Yeah, no, I think it does age very well. I enjoy it. I think it's a good watch whenever it's on. I think I kind of enjoy it. I don't know if I say I enjoy it every single time more I watch it, but it definitely doesn't disappoint from time to time. But so yeah, that was a crazy film. And then of course, well, we got to have a sequel, right? So we move. So the murderous backwoods Firefly family take to the road to escape the vengeful Sheriff Waddell, who is not afraid of being as ruthless as his target. 2005, The Devil's Rejects. Now, this film is very different. Okay. This is a road western kind, right? This is not
Yeah.
like, this is a horror film, but it's a slick production. It's really well done. It's a big budget kind of stuff. It happens like in the daytime, a lot of the horror,
Mhm.
right? I liked this. And of course, the ending is like epic, right? We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
It's very different though, right? So we open up, we go into the, big crane shot going to the ranch of the house. And now it's what's his, oh God, now I'm blanking on he's Ronnie in Halloween. Who does he Fort William Forsythe, right?
I went for it. Yeah.
Yep, he's Sheriff Waddell, and he's what's the face's brother, who of course got killed in the first film,
Yeah.
and so he's just out to get the Firefly clan. There's a great shootout scene there at the beginning, and they escape, of course, and they pick up Captain Spaulding. They disappear, right, and the sheriff's hunting him down the whole time. They stop at a hotel. They capture the Banjo and Sullivan. Is that the name of the group?
Banjo
Right,
Sullivan.
Banjo
Yep.
Sullivan. Take them, murder them violently, which one scene we got to talk about is the woman who runs into the road. I got to talk about that. That was insane. They get captured. They get tortured. First, they meet up with Ken Foray and some other folks down. They hide out there, get captured, and of course, in the end, the famous scene at the very end of it. But so, talk about how different this film is, and does this film polarize people from if you love House of a Thousand Corpses? I love the sequel, but they're so different, right? I mean, are there
Mhm.
ways where fans may not like one or the other, or does it turn one off from the other, maybe because of it?
It's just because there's really no like
They're just
there's
so
no
different.
it's like you put them on back to back, you feel like you put on two different movies.
Yes,
And I
yes.
think I think honestly it attests to the power of Rob Zombie as a filmmaker being able to just kind of completely swap your genre from one
Mm-hmm.
sequel to the next. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if it's funny because like both are going for like the 70s grindhouse
Yeah. Yep.
homage, but they're doing it in
Yeah.
different ways. They're tapping into different
Yeah.
areas of that. So if House of a Thousand Corpses is like the low budget, 70s B movie, this is the 70s exploitation thriller, like stuff that was coming out of Australia,
Like a porno or
the
something.
Midwest. Oh, dude, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But I think you can love, but I think it is a polarizing experience, but it's
Yeah.
supposed to be. I think you can love each on their own merit. You know what I mean? Because they are so different, but you hate to love the Firefly family. Like
Yes.
you to me, it does not feel morally correct to root for them in any sort of way. Yet I do. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like as the movie's going on, I'm going through like this kind of moral questioning of like, oh my God, what am I thinking here? Like, why do I think they're great? Why do I think this is great? Because they're so terrible in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They're the worst people on earth.
dude, terrible. Absolutely,
Worst people on earth.
absolutely terrible. But like at the same time, I'm kind of like, come on, guys, like, yeah, I made it out. All right,
Yes,
cool, good.
you
know what
want
I
them
mean?
to
Like,
escape because you want to. Yeah, you want to see what happens. I know. I love it.
this movie, though, Devil's Rejects was much more impactful to me just because of my age. So Devil's Rejects came out when I was 15.
Okay.
And when it came out on DVD, there was a bonus feature. There was a second disc that was like a 4.5 hour making of documentary called Road to Hell.
Oh, I own it. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have it. I took it out of my DVD and I put it in the Blu-ray case because I can,
Yes.
always have it. But that's when I started falling in love with collecting physical media through watching bonus features, and that was one of the like quintessential examples in my history of like how I fell in love with them.
You know what? I'll tell you what. There are honestly some films that I have. I mean, I have a big giant shelf full of DVDs. I'm of that age where we own them, of course, and you should still own them, I believe.
Mhm.
There are half these movies in there that I've probably taken them out, and I've probably watched the special features 3 or 4 times more than the movie itself.
Oh yeah.
I'm in love with that chip. Like if you, I don't know if you have, do you have Rob Zombie's Halloween? Do you have the 4 hour making of in that one as well?
I actually have, yeah, I
Oh,
have 2 copies of it. I have the regular,
it's just
I have like the
amazing.
regular
Yeah.
studio release, and
Yeah.
then somebody gave me this steel book that came with
Hmm.
the extra disc. So I have
Those
both just
those
to have them.
makings of are like addictive. They're just they're so great. They're so great.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the Devil's Rejects was just so important to me at that time. And it was funny because like it's really outside of like one or two moments, really the only concern my parents had were for the language. You know what I mean? Because it's really not.
He uses a lot of bad language in his
Yeah,
movies. Yeah.
there's a there's a lot, but like when when Captain Spaulding apprehends the vehicle, and he's like, "What's about a kid? You don't like clowns? You don't think we're fucking
Ain't we
funny?"
fucking funny?
Yeah,
What a great, that was PJ Souls he kicked out of the
yeah,
car,
yeah,
right? Yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And that is like the ultimate moment of, now I think Rob Zombie does not like clowns.
yeah.
But it's the ultimate moment of, this is the reason you're terrified of clowns.
Oh
Like,
my god, yeah. I mean, he
that would scare me today.
listen, dude. There is nothing in this trilogy as gross as when Spaulding gets out of bed and goes to the
Oh,
toilet, and it
oh.
transitions into the coffee pouring into the mug, and you believe that that's the color of his urine because
And
he's just so gross.
and then he leaves and she goes, I want to go. You ain't going nowhere,
You
bitch.
ain't going nowhere, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's great to see like what he's actually, because you never really see what he's doing, what his
yeah,
life is, right? So you're like, okay, this is how he lives. I'm not
yeah.
surprised this is how he lives though.
And the reveal that he is their father
Daddy.
or
Yep.
daddy,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. There's so much about this movie, and I think too, um, I forget his name, but the cinematographer. Fun fact: the shootout in the beginning, there isn't one reused shot.
Is that right?
Every In all of those cuts, there's
Okay.
probably 160
Oh,
cuts.
so many.
There, no shots are repeated. Everything
Nice.
was a different
Good.
angle,
I like that.
and they purposely shot through objects to give a little bit more of like a voyeuristic
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
appearance. In the hotel room, in my opinion, the worst scene is sort of the assault sequence that happens with the gun.
Oh, that's you know what? No, keep going. I was gonna say something, but
No, I was just gonna say that's the turning point for that movie. For me, it's that scene leading up to the death of Banjo and Sullivan, where that movie really kind of like,
Banjo and Solo will not be seen tonight.
okay, when he comes back into the room with the face.
Yep.
Yeah, that movie has a really dark sensibility, but it kind of turns
Yeah.
it on and off. It kind of like, and when
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
flips it on, everything in Devil's Rejects is 100 times more impactful than they were in House because
Yeah.
they feel like they're coming from a darker place. It's almost like if in House of a Thousand Corpses they were like in purgatory. In
Yeah.
Devil's Rejects, the Firefly family is straight up in hell as
Oh yeah.
devils.
Oh
They
yeah.
are out of control,
Whatever
man.
they want is their world.
Yeah.
I love the scene. So this is funny because I mentioned to you, and I usually never curse on the put. We're full of profanity because these movies, but I'm just reciting line. But I love his line, Otis's line. Boy, next words out of your mouth better be some Mark Twain fucking shit because they're definitely going on your tombstone.
What does Captain Spaulding say to him? He says the Breakfast Club line to him when he confronts Otis in the room, and he says,
Oh
"Two hits,
God.
I hit you, you hit the
Yeah,
floor."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're
then
the famous Breakfast
and
Club line.
how great is the we're gonna get some tutti fucking
Yeah, Tutti
fruity.
fucking Fruity.
I'm not stopping for some for ice cream.
Oh, but and then it cut. So they start arguing.
Yep.
It shows it's outside the van. The van passes, and it
Yeah.
cuts inside, and they have the ice cream, and they
And
have
they're eating the ice cream. I love it. I love it. But yeah, that gun scene. I remember something Bill Moseley saying one time. He went to Rob Zombie and was like, dude, this scene is bumming me out. Like, this is too much for me. And Rob was like, art is not safe or something like that. And
Mhm.
explained to him, like, yeah, this is just it's not great to do. It's hard for the audience to watch. It's hard for you to do it, but it's part of how we're doing this. So
Yeah. It's kind of messed up to say, but after that crazy assault scene, there's a moment when he's walking with Banjo and Sullivan out into kind of like the field
when he
area,
does
and in
the
the background he sniffs the gun, and he says, "I can still smell your wife's juice on my gun." I'm like,
and
"Oh my god, dude, that's
gross.
like, oh,
Who even thinks of that? Like, even forget saying who thinks of that, right?
dude." That listen, I know it's corny because everybody says it from Devil's Rejects, but the down up shot of the "I am the devil and I'm here to do the devil's
I was
work"
just gonna say that.
is one of the greatest moments in a Rob Zombie movie, and it's overused. Everybody talks about it, everybody uses it, but every time I watch the movie, it gives me chills because they do some really cool things with the audio in that scene where they kind of like bring down the background noise and then they kind of bring it back up as the fight goes on. And it's something I didn't notice until until I went into the commentary track.
That's really cool.
And when you pay attention to it, it really kind of brings this like very unsettling feeling to it once you start to pick up on it. And the payoff is that line delivery and the shot with the sun beaming through.
Oh, it's great. The hot desert. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, of course, you know who who said that line, of course, made it famous, right?
Who?
That was Tex Watson that said that the Manson family when they were killing Sharon Tate.
Oh.
Shout out. Shameless plug to watch my episode about the Cielo Drive house I did with David Oman. Go check that out. Anyway, as everyone should, of course. But yeah, Rob Zombie's obsessed with Manson. So that's
why it's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's Tex Watson that said that. We're here. I'm the devil. I'm here to do the devil's job. So that's what Bill Moseley signed on my 11 by 17
Nice.
House of 1,000 Corpses poster I have in my back here. He has, I'm here to devil and do the devil.
I have a little 8 by 10. I met Sid Haig when I was younger, and I met Sid Haig and Bill Moseley, but my uncle only paid Sid Haig to do the autograph.
Okay,
but before the show, we were talking about Monster Mania because we both attend. That was one of the first Monster Manias I ever went to. I was probably 13 and it was empty. There was nobody there. And,
what year was that?
So that was really early on. If I was this is like 2004, 2003.
No one was around. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and Bill Moseley. I didn't even recognize that Bill Moseley was sitting there because he was clean cut.
Exactly.
And at the time, I'm just a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Sid Haig was so nice. He like just had me hang out at the table.
Bill Moseley's awesome. He's a nice guy, super nice guy.
He was so nice too, but I just couldn't. I was so It was the first time I had ever met anybody, and here I am sitting next to Sid Haig as a little kid. Right. And yeah, I'm not a big autograph guy, but that hangs proudly on my wall, man, because I'm so honored to have had that time with him. Yeah,
that's awesome. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. Yeah, so that's that whole Manson thing there that ties in, and we'll get to Manson in the next movie. But how about the scene where she runs into the road and gets hit by the truck? How like graphic and realistic and disgusting. I mean, it is just like entrails. So thankfully, I've never seen one get hit by a semi truck, and I hope I never do. I hope no one does. But I have to imagine that is probably what you look like after you get hit by a truck.
So I will tell you, when I was a kid, I was born in 91. So, in the early 2000s, I remember there was like the rise of these really weird like websites. It was like rotten.com.
Ogreish and like rotten.com. Yeah.
Dude, all these websites.
We all used to look at them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember watching, so she gets hit, and when it cuts to the aftermath and it just shows the carnage.
So
I remember getting like a flashback to that moment because it looked
one of those websites. Yeah.
So real. Like, dude, I was like,
it was so gross.
And I remember I used to have, I don't remember when, I remember having a Fangoria magazine where like they had that as like a double page spread.
Fangoria shout out. Yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. They had that as like a spread.
I bet. I might own that one. I don't know. Yeah. That was so gross, but it was so great. That was the one. The first time I saw a movie, I was watching on DVD, and I had to I usually never stop a movie, but I had to rewind it and watch it over right there. I was like, this is so gross. Oh my God.
It's really nasty, man. And that's the thing is like, I think the realism of it, it's the whole atmosphere. It's the fact that it's so hot. You have the, the rippling of the skyline.
Yes.
There's like, you feel shade. It's almost like the moment that shot starts, my first thought is always like, God, that must stink. Like, it's so gross. I'm like, oh, that's gotta smell terrible, dude.
You get those chainsaw vibes, like the way you feel like the heat from the original Chainsaw. Like you could feel like the atmosphere of how hot and gross it is in that place, right?
Yeah, this movie's so sweaty. Everything is just sweating.
Yeah. And then, I love when Wydell gets him and he's, staple gunning stuff to pictures to them, and you think he's gonna, get them, and of course he doesn't. And the whole, hanging out with Ken Foray's character, and then of course the ending. So how about the ending with licensing Freebird and this slow-mo shootout of them against every cop in wherever the hell Texas they're supposed to be? I mean, that was just that's pretty good, right? That's a pretty good
Well,
scene.
what's unbelievable to me that I didn't know until I was watching the commentaries, this is one of the few times that Freebird has ever been licensed for a movie.
And actually, so I think I remember you talking about that. Forrest Gump, when she's about to jump, right? When she's off the ledge. This
Yeah.
movie, and it's one of those things where your mind tells you because it's a famous song. I'm sure I've heard it a million times, but no, you haven't, have you? No.
Yeah. No, and
That's
this
crazy.
this
Right.
is instantly what I go to. Like when I hear Freebird, I think of these wide swooping helicopter shots
Those
over
two
the
movies
road.
come to my mind. So what are do you know other ones that they've played it in then?
Offhand, I don't know. I mean, I know
Yeah,
the
it's a
I know I well,
good trivia.
you just reminded me of Forrest Gump. Yeah,
Yeah,
with
that was
Jenny
the one I know.
right when she's standing on the ledge, you said,
When she's
right?
about to jump, right? And she's like, it's on New Year's Eve or something, and she climbs back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other
I
than that,
completely forgot about that.
yeah.
This for the longest time, this was the only movie I ever associated Freebird with.
Now that's your big budget. Yeah, the helicopter shots, and I mean, just that must have been, and that scene and the shootout scene. I mean, way to bookend, right? Incredible opening and closing scenes, right? So,
Yeah, and it's such
man,
a it's such a because you have it the before the car shootout, you have the demise of Tiny when he
tiny,
which however you want to interpret, whether it's
the
him
fire,
sacrificing
right?
himself or
Yeah.
he walks back into the house to burn.
Oh, I
Um,
forgot. I had to mention the one thing with Tiny that I love is in House of a Thousand Corpses when he has her in the basement and he's eating cereal. Remember the name of the cereal? Agatha Crispies.
Agatha Christie's, yep. Yep.
Amazing.
Which my favorite part of that moment is when he just waves by to her. He's
So
just
like that. He's he's just slurping his cereal. He doesn't care, man. He doesn't care.
yeah. How do you interpret the fact that Tiny walked back in the house? Do you think that was just kind of like him feeling like, okay, like I saved my family, I'm good now, I can go?
I think so. I think his life is quite simple, and
Yeah,
that's about all it was for him. Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of a great send off. Like that character, it's unfortunately what happened with Matthew McCrory,
Yeah.
passing away when he did. But it's like this I think of and Big Fish. Those are
Yeah.
the two.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this shootout, dude, was everything when I was a kid. It was
It's pretty great.
now, it's funny. Now I watch it and I hate. There's one thing I hate is CGI bullets, like CGI bullet impacts.
Mm.
And when I was watching it to prepare for the podcast episode, I was just like, oh, geez. There's like moments where you see bullet impacts and like they didn't even comp it to the skin. It's like 2 inches above, and but it doesn't lose its emotion.
No, I don't think so. I think it's fine. But yeah, I just remember thinking this is just so different. This film was just so different than what I saw a few years before. With this crazy, acid. I keep using the word like acid trip, and this first film, and with all the effects and for the sake of effects, and this is like nicely done in the color palette, like the desaturation and everything, and.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, these different places you're in, the shootout at the ranch and then the hotel, or the motel, I guess, and at Ken Foray's place, and yeah, just with different places, but it's all this, yeah, this road desert, like we're in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. It was just, it was so different, but I really liked
Yeah.
it. I really think this is the film, I guess, I disagree, that everyone says is Rob Zombie's masterpiece. I think it's Lords of Salem for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But you would say a lot of people probably think it is Devil's Rejects. Probably, would you say?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think there's a little bit of
Production value and the scale of it all, and
I also think too, like this was such a important, like monumental time for Rob Zombie horror fans. This is like the movie.
It is.
Lords of Salem, I think it's his best made film.
Lords of Salem.
But I think this movie just has the notoriety, and it is technically a very well directed film.
It's great. Oh, it's great. It really is.
Great cast, great moments. I love Danny Trejo kind of popping up.
Oh, he's the best.
Like there's something, you have the whole chicken fucking scene, which is like everyone always,
oh my, are you planning on fucking these chickens? Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that. What was that?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of weird shit in this movie, but I think Devil's Rejects will always come down as like Zombies' most pristine work for some reason. It'll always
I like
be
that word. That's a perfect word. A pristine, yes.
What's incredible what's incredible is the difference between House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, just from a like, how many times does a director's second film come out that great? You know what I mean? Like it's like a monumental jump. It's like,
that's a good point.
It's crazy. And I mean, of course, I think he had the perfect crew. He had money for a better crew. He had money for a better
Everything lined up.
cinematographer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the crew accents how great the director is. But all in all, everybody, especially if you read the House of Rejects book by Dustin McNeil, everybody on the crew compliments working with Zombie and how incredibly professional and prepared that he was.
Oh yeah.
So it just, it's incredible, man. And I actually don't think I'm actually not the biggest fan of Three from Hell. And it's funny how the first movie to the second is like, whoa, what an improvement. And then the second to third, I'm like, whoa, what happened? What?
And that's what we love to call a segue. But what I'll say also before that is, talk about everything mixing together. Filmmaking is nothing without collaboration. I mean, look, we all have jobs where we can get things done without other people, or people can do things half-ass or whatever, which is the way it is. If you're not collaborating, you're not together on a film, then it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to be made. Like you must have these pieces in place to do it. So it's huge. So So now we jump ahead a bunch of years, and after barely surviving prison, the demented Firefly clan go on the run, unleashing a whole new wave of murder, madness, and mayhem. Three from Hell. Okay. This is the least liked film of this trilogy. I am a fan. I think it is insanely violent. So I'll get to my reasons to love it in a sec. So somehow they've all survived the shootout. Okay. They're, all jacked up, obviously, from it. They're in prison. They escape. Baby gets out right, and then Otis gets out, I believe. Or no, I'm sorry, what happened? Because his half brother, the one that what is it called? The Wolf?
Yeah, what's that actor's name? Is it
Richard Brake?
Richard Brake. Yeah, Richard Brake.
He's the Wolf. They get out. Then they got to get Baby out. Oh, they have like the prison busting, like and Danny Trejo's in that scene, right? So they bust out that way. Then they got to get Baby out. They get her out, and of course that scene back at the house with the warden and his wife and his that was a crazy scene. And they hightail it down to Mexico, man, and they hang out in Mexico, and they just get trashed, and they get laid, and they have a good time. And then what's the name of the assassin group that comes to get them? What is the name of them? I can't remember now. God. Anyway, there's an assassin group because they killed Trejo's character who comes down there. Of course, it backfires, and they end up killing them, of course, in the end. And they kind of just walk off into the sunset, if you will, basically. But we'll talk more about the scenes and everything. But I like this film. I love the whole Manson aspect because, again, Zombie loves Manson. We're all obsessed with Manson. And the whole, with them going on trial. I mean, that is literally taken from the Manson family, from those videos of them walking into court, singing and holding hands and stuff. That is and I love it's like a newsreel. And again, we go back to this dirty 70s look and feel of the courtroom of Baby. It's just completely, Leslie Van Houten, Manson family stuff. Totally. And I love the scene at the house with, he takes like the mother's ashes and like dumps them. And it's like, it is so messed up, dude. And they spring her, and what Dee Wallace is the cop that gets her ass beat, right? And they spring her out, and then going down to Mexico, and just I love that vibe of like being down in like just this little tiny city and partying it up and having a great time. And I love the headdress, and I love Inagata Devita. I love that. I love how they use that. And I thought it was she's shooting the bow and arrow, and there's some like really cool scenes in this film. I thought overall it's not great. One of the favorite too is I love when Otis gets in that one guy's car and he's trying to escape town, and he's all calm and he's like, "Hey, you trying to split town, huh?" And they finally kill the guy, and they burn him alive, like in the coffin, I guess, right? It's like the most unnecessary third film, I guess, right? Richard Brake's character is pretty cool. I like him a lot. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on what do you think about Three from Hell?
I mean, honestly, it's a mess. Clearly things were messed up with the Sid Haig.
2019, by the way, so it's a long time between films. Yeah.
Sheesh.
And Sid Haig was, I think, passed away during this.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. It was like very. I think
he was in terrible health.
They pretty much like begged him to get what they got out of him, but at that point he was pretty sick.
Yeah.
I remember feeling overwhelmed by this movie because it was
Too much.
so adequate. Well, because you have this is what post 31
Yeah.
Rob Zombie. Like there's
Yeah.
so much so much has changed in his career, and I went into it. I go into every movie with like, okay, I don't want to judge. I wasn't sold by the trailers. I was like, I hope that there's something here that I really like. The thing is, the idea that they survived. There was two ways you could think of it.
There's
It's
no
like
way, right?
the fact that they survived and then they were given back their lives because they still have work to do from whatever. They're the devil's rejects, right?
That's right. That's right.
Or that they died and now they're like demons. Nothing that proceeds is as evil as what they've done in the previous movies. So no matter which way you try to sell me that point, this movie just kind of feels like they're like, oh, we got to make a third one. We got to finish the trilogy. The Mexico stuff was so weird.
Crazy. It's wild.
It's so strange.
The way they just party. I mean, and like the knife throwing, the darts or the knife throwing, whatever she's doing. I mean, Richard
Brake, I like. Richard Brake as a Rob Zombie collaborator, I like. I think him as Doomhead in 31 is one of the best characters Rob Zombie's ever created. Even him playing what's his name in The Munsters is great. He played
he was the driver, the ambulance or the whatever driver in Halloween 2. I remember him from that also.
Yeah, he was.
But I think his character, the stepbrother, I think he's really good. I think he's like a perfect, sleazy, horrendous, awful human being. I think he plays it great.
Well, that's what I feel like. Couldn't they have done a third film where it was like, oh, here's some extended members of the family, and maybe like you could add in some subplot. Look, if Rob Zombie can add a woman and a white horse to Halloween 2, he could have made an extended family sequel that placed the third in the trilogy where like they're being guided by the demonic spirits of the Devil's Rejects. You could have done that, but no, we just got like this really, like, honestly, the movie's kind of nonsensical. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The scene in the house is the most that feels like
it's weird.
It feels mostly at home with the trilogy. And then when they get to Mexico, you're like,
what is that?
Where are we? It's like the beginning of it's like the beginning. It feels like the beginning of Tombstone, when they show up to the wedding.
Yeah, like that.
It's like that's what it feels like.
Good.
I just don't. I've only revisited it once since it came out. I remember I bought it. I bought some Blu-ray edition that came with like a T-shirt.
Oh wow, nice.
And they for some reason at Walmart they only carried like medium T-shirts in the box, so I just ended up buying this box for a T-shirt that I just had to like give away to somebody. And I watched it and I was like, I don't know if that was right. And then it sat on the shelf for years. And then when I finally pulled it off, I don't know, like 2 years ago and put it on, I just kind of kept going like, what is happening right now? I don't know what. I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna go watch 31 or something now. I'm gonna go.
It is not people's favorites. It is not people's favorites.
No. I mean, it needed. Absolutely not. I do think it is kind of a nice like when actors are sick and you kind of see their final roles, there's a little bit of like a like should we have shown that because they just look so tired and so
right.
So run down, and it's kind of like not a movie that I would watch to be like, oh yeah, like in the memory of Sid Haig. You know what I mean? Because you can see what he's
in terrible shape.
Yeah. It's awful, man, and it's sad. I'm sure that messed with Zombie hard going into the rest of this movie.
No, it did, and I know he had trouble with that, and they made it, but I know that was that was a tough thing for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think if I'm gonna go back to the Firefly trilogy, I'm going House or Devil's Rejects, and
that's how most people feel, I think.
When Steve and I were like, hey, we're gonna cover we're gonna talk about the Firefly films. I remember sitting literally in this exact chair with him, and I was like, are we gonna do 3 from Hell? I was like, because
are we even counting this piece of crap?
Yeah, what are we doing here? And I think Steve was like, I'm good to skip it if you are.
I can't fault you. I can't fault you on that. It's okay.
If there's even a commentary track for it, I wonder if there is.
Good question. I don't own it on I don't actually own the film, so.
I have some like weird 3-pack. This
Oh
this
wow, all right.
ugly guy right here.
Ooh, here
I
we
don't
go.
know.
See, look at that.
I
Nice.
don't know. Oh wait, it does have a oh, that has a 4-part making of documentary too, audio commentary. Great.
See,
Now I have to
okay.
cover it.
Now I got to go buy this so I can watch this. Okay, great. I
Okay.
own the other one separate, so. But all right,
Probably better than the movie.
yeah, maybe. All
Probably.
right, so here you go. You got this trilogy. Okay, it's done. I assume we're never going to see them again. That's the end of those movies, of course. So now tell me. I mean, this is the easy part, I guess. The order for you would it be in the order they were actually made, or do you like Devil's Rejects? Would that be your first?
Devil's Rejects is first for me. I mean,
That
it's very little bit over House of a Thousand Corpses. It
okay.
just depends on what mood I'm in. Devil's Rejects kind of requires me to be in a little bit more of a mood for
Okay.
it.
Okay.
House of a Thousand Corpses, I could just put on at 11
It's like
o'clock at
fun,
night.
right? It's
Yeah,
like it's something fun to watch. It's entertaining. Yeah, yeah, I got you.
yeah, yeah.
That makes
I'm
perfect.
not putting on Devil's Rejects at 11 a.m. Sunday morning, sitting
Right?
down for a
Yeah,
good
no,
time.
that is a mood movie kind of. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, so here are some questions for you. Each film, favorite character from each film, and you can name the favorite, I guess, if you want for all of them, I suppose. But do you have a favorite in each film? Because each character has a different kind of role and things like that in each one. So what do you think?
I really in House of a Thousand Corpses, I really like Baby. I like
Yeah,
that
she's great.
rendition of Baby.
She is great.
Also because it's like a 12-year-old kid watching that, my eyes
Yeah.
were bulging out of my head.
Yeah,
Um,
Sherry Moon Zombie's nice to look at.
For Devil's Rejects, I definitely think it's Otis, just because
Otis,
he
Otis,
he's moved
Otis.
away from like the chop top
Yeah,
style of the
yeah,
first movie.
yeah.
He's scarier, and he
He's
also
much scarier.
his appearance is more realistic, so I'm more scared of him
Yeah,
in it as
yeah,
opposed to the kind of like the paler, more psychotic looking house.
yes.
Um, and Three from Hell, just based off memory, I'd probably say it's probably going to be Otis again. But now that I'm thinking about it, I can't remember. I think you said his name's Wolf, Richard Brake's character.
Yeah, I love him. I thought he was great.
Probably.
I thought he was
Yeah.
great. All right, how about can you give me a favorite scene? What's your favorite scene from each film?
So first House of a Thousand Corpses, it would be the oh man, I'm on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go like this. Devil's Rejects is the Banjo and Sullivan death scene.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
All right. Let's go.
House of a Thousand Corpses, I'm torn to say. I want to say that it's the murder ride scene, but I think it's the entire ending leading up to Dr. Satan.
You love that. That's right. You were saying that.
Because I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Three from Hell, I cannot recall a single specific scene to tell you a favorite moment.
You buried that deep in your mind. It's gone. It's gone forever. Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I can't even recall the majority of the house scene that you love so much.
You know what? My favorite scene is actually is the beginning with the whole prison thing with the Manson kind of throwback, the news report stuff. That's what I love.
I think that's what I remember most because I remember liking the style, like the fast, choppy editing style, and it kind of having like the shaky cam and the newsreel style. So that would probably be it.
Because I mean, he's got him in the jail cell, just like the whole Manson thing. Maybe just that I love that, and based on that, I decided I'm going to like the rest of this film, even though I really don't like it. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I would say next time you watch it, skip that and then start from there. Let me know.
Right? That's a good idea. I should just play it from there and see what I get. And it's also just like I said, I love Rob Zombie. I don't love everything he does. I've kind of I like his Halloween film less and less, a little more these days. But yeah, these films were fun. They were. I think the one takeaway is the House of a Thousand Corpses. The takeaway is the troubled production for so long, and then the fact that it's just become so big now. So it's just and now it's so much more popular now.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Devil's Rejects is this sequel that, like you said, hits even harder than the original, and it's so well done. And it's just a different, completely 180, really, in a way. And then you've got a part 3 that people don't really care much for. It's kind of like, we know the consensus is, what is this? Why did they make this kind of thing? Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how House is still so prominent in like the horror pop culture.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Huh?
I think I was in like a Hot Topic or something just a couple months ago, and I found a House of a Thousand Corpses t-shirt. I'm like, whoa, this
Nice.
is still. But you'll never find like a Devil's Rejects t-shirt because I don't think there's
That's a good.
many.
I don't know that I've ever seen one. That's a
There's
good
no
point.
images from the like unless Fright Rags does like a
No, it's
custom.
the shot of him like walking down the highway, like the dusty that's on the cover. I think that's like the
Hmm,
shot of the film. I think,
yeah,
or
I did.
the one I've seen is like the hotel and like there's like the woman's like dead arm laying outside.
Yeah.
I have an 11 by 17 in my house that's in the style of the Last Supper, and
Yeah.
it says this
Yeah.
summer go to hell. Yeah,
Yeah. I remember
that's a
that. I
good
remember
one.
that marketing.
That's a good one.
When I was trying to figure out when Steve and I were trying to figure out the key art for the podcast episode, I remember struggling because I was like, there's the which we need vertical art. So I was like, there's the poster with the arm,
Hmm.
which we ended up using.
That's a good one.
And then the other one was the one of them walking down a road, which I don't even think is like a great
Mm,
poster. I was like, this
right,
is not. Other than that, I was finding like okay fan art for the
right,
most part, but
right.
there really isn't much. When we were doing House of a Thousand Corpses,
Oh, there's so much.
we had like 18 different options for key art. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
man, this is so much better. This is so
yeah. It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. No,
yeah.
it's a big thing. Yeah, I really do enjoy them, and I love how the movie has you. It's fun to watch, a film that you saw. I mean, I saw it in the theater. It's fun to watch this stuff evolve over time. It's really cool to see
Mhm.
that, like this stuff that people thought was so bad, and see how big it got, or it was huge at the time, and now nobody cares about it, and vice versa, whatever stuff like that. So, all right, so here
Yeah.
you go. Here's the last on the spot question I'll give you is if now I know these are demented, insane people, but part one of the question is if you were any character, who would you be? And if you love these films, or at least you can make it one if you wanted, if you love these, what else should you watch?
Okay, so my question's gonna be a little. I would be tiny
Mm,
because I want to
okay.
know what it's like to be 7 foot tall,
And eat Agatha Christie's, right?
and also I love cereal. So yeah, big
Yeah,
fan.
see, there you
Yeah,
go.
big fan. Me and Tiny got that in common. Um, so I think I think the easiest to give recommendations for would be Devil's Rejects. Because it's that 70s exploitation
Hmm.
kind of road movie. Offhand, I would probably go Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think is
Mm,
clearly the
okay.
overarching,
Yeah, yeah,
one to watch.
yeah, I think so.
But I think honestly, I get a lot of I think The Hitcher is like good vibes for Devil's Rejects.
Okay, okay.
Also things like Road Games, the Australian
I have
film.
not seen that, but I've heard about it. Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah, very, very good. You know what's funny? When I think of House of a Thousand Corpses, I think a lot of EC comics. So I think of
Mm,
like
interesting.
Creep
Yeah.
Show style, you know
Okay.
what I mean?
Okay.
Just because of the colors, the
Yeah.
color
Yeah. Yeah.
flashes and
Yeah. It's
stuff.
crazy.
But I think for House of a Thousand Corpses, I would probably go with something like I don't know if you've ever seen Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
I have not, but I know the title. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of see some similarities in that. I also think you could probably do something like oh geez, on the spot. It's tough. I'm trying to think
I
of
know.
more kind of like I was gonna make a recommendation, then I stopped myself. I was like, I
All
don't think
right.
that's gonna be right for it. Um yeah, that might be my one.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that would probably be it. Three from Hell, I would probably say just watch the Devil's Rejects again and then
Yeah. Yeah. I just yeah. For me, it's House of a Thousand Corpses. If you like that film, I say go watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think that's heavily
oh yeah.
influenced.
Yeah,
Heavily.
yeah.
Go watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Go watch The Hills Have Eyes. I think those speak to me. And I'm
And
trying
if
to
you
think.
really want fun, watch The Hills of Ice Part 2 where you get a dog flashback. That's my favorite. That's my,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if you like Devil's Rejects, what's I think you maybe mentioned it. I don't know that I could think of one to recommend off of there. Oh, if I'm a character, I got to be Otis. I mean, come on, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got to be Otis. I mean, my God, the guy's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, his characters of Otis and Chop Top from TCM2 are like just these legendary characters, right? Bill Muzz, he's great.
Oh my god, dude, that guy is
He's the best.
that guy's incredible, man. And like the range, I think just enough to see how similar Chop Top and Otis are and how much he is
Yeah,
able to differentiate them. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah.
never confused the two. I never get them mixed up in my mind, but they're so similar, and he's able to play them so differently.
Yeah,
I think that
awesome.
that alone is a testament to his ability as an actor.
He's the best. Well, I hope we get more from Rob Zombie. I mean, like I said, we haven't seen anything in a while. I would love to see what else he's got. I mean, he has a million ideas. I think he's very creative. I know stuff wears, making movies wears you out. It really, it kills you. It can take it away. I mean, people talk about, I use this line all the time. People talk about how great The Godfather is, and it's one of the great movies of all time. Francis Ford Coppola wanted to shoot himself after making the damn thing. I mean, it is really hard. It is really hard to do this stuff. And we, as the fans, see this stuff, but we don't see the on-set drama and the nonsense and the studio interference, and we don't see that. That stuff just will destroy you. So anyway, make more movies, Rob Zombie. But so Chris Higgins was on the show. This was awesome, dude. I'm so glad you came on. Tell everyone all the cool stuff you're doing, and please tell them where they can find all the cool stuff you're doing.
So I mostly post over on Instagram. On there, it's Bearded Film Guy, no breaks, just Bearded Film Guy. Post a whole bunch of physical media stuff over there. And then also I host the Beyond the Blood podcast. You can find it wherever you listen to your podcast at. On there, we break down horror films using their audio commentaries as a guide.
It's awesome. I've listened to these. It's very, very cool. Please listen to them. Yes, they're awesome.
Thank you. I host that with my friend Steve from After Hours Video. He's incredible. We're working on a whole bunch of new stuff, man. We recently teamed up with Encyclopocalypse Publications. We're going to be covering Sleepaway Camp, as well as putting out a little interview with the entire cast of Sleepaway Camp.
Love it.
So that's really fun. We're kind of gearing up for we're going to be covering Eli Roth's Thanksgiving to celebrate Thanksgiving. And then in December we're going to be doing Misery. We're going to be covering the commentary track for that.
Yeah, we did an episode. I love Misery. Man, that's a good movie.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
And then first half of next year, we're doing All Giallos. So we're going to dive into some Italian stuff.
I'm thinking of doing some Italian. I wanted to get into some Italian horror as well. Yes.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it's a deep love of mine, but especially Steve.
You guys did an episode. I listened to your episode. You guys did. You made like a top 5, right, of Italian horror. Was that you guys?
We did.
Yes.
That was we were celebrating Steve's birthday.
Yes. Okay.
For that episode. Yeah.
Zombie. I love the Gates of Hell trilogy.
Yeah.
And there was some other. I think your list pretty much lined up with what most people would put on there.
Yeah, I think we had like Torso on there. We had a Argento, depending on what. It's funny because I'm
not a fan of Opera. I don't really like that film. I don't know. People say it's not.
Yeah, I personally love Opera. I actually think, as much as I love Suspiria, I think he has better movies than Suspiria. But yeah, Dario Argento is incredible. We actually want to cover, I think next year we're going to cover Bird of the Crystal Plumage. Because it gives us, if we start at movie 1, it gives us a reason every year to like just move to the next film and see what's up. So very excited about that, man. Dude, this was so much fun, man. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the work you do for the community and always talking genre stuff, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for making a 2.5-hour episode on Pet Sematary 2 that I love to listen to. That made me listen to more of this. So you guys know where to find us. Go to Instagram at The Scary Movie Project. That is where I lurk. If you want to email me, thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. The website is thescarymovieproject.com. Go to the YouTube page. Watch us here. You're watching this episode on the YouTube page. Of course, you are. Like and subscribe, as they say. Pass it on. Love it. What are some more horror trilogies we need to do? I wrote articles actually on the Gates of Hell trilogy, so you can watch that on my website. But that's awesome. So thank you, Chris. This is great. I can't wait to listen to more of the stuff you're doing. And everyone out there, continue watching all these wonderful films. Go watch 3 from Hell, even though you may not want to. You got to watch the whole trilogy. You got to finish it. So, but until then, we are the devil, and we're here to do the devil's work.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.